Welcome to this explainer. Picture the last time you walked past a massive construction site. You probably saw towering cranes, heard the roar of heavy machinery, and watched hundreds of workers moving across a sprawling footprint of steel and concrete. It looks completely chaotic, doesn't it? I mean, you've got millions of individual components, millions of dollars, and thousands of moving parts, all converging in one single place. Yet somehow, it doesn't end in disaster. In fact, it results in the breathtaking skylines we live and work in every single day. And the reason for that success isn't just good engineering. It's the invisible scaffolding of construction project management that prevents absolute chaos on the job site. So you really have to wonder, how do these massive skyscrapers actually get built without descending into total chaos? Well, let's dive into it. A common misconception is that a project manager just kind of supervises a site. Maybe walks around with a clipboard and a hard hat pointing at things. But that couldn't be further from the truth. What they are actually doing is mastering a highly systematic, incredibly complex process. They're the central hub, constantly integrating project scope, meticulous quality standards, strict schedules, tight costs, and absolute safety. It takes a unique blend of deep technical knowledge and incredibly sharp decision-making skills to keep the clients happy and the project moving forward. To understand exactly how they do this, we're going to use our own project execution plan for this explainer. We'll be hitting 5 key areas. First, the foundation of project planning. Second, mastering time and money. Third, ensuring quality and safety. Fourth, managing chaos and changes. And finally, leadership in the digital age. Let's get right to it. Section 1, Foundation of Project Planning, the roadmap to success. It is a fundamental truth in construction that every successful build starts long before the first shovel ever hits the dirt. You know the old saying, if you fail to plan, you're literally planning to fail. So we take a seemingly insurmountable task, like building a high-rise, and break it down into actionable steps. Step 1 is defining the scope and creating a work breakdown structure, or WBS. This is essentially taking the massive project and chopping it down into manageable, bite-sized tasks. Step 2 is taking those specific tasks and attaching schedules to them, estimating the resources you'll need, planning the procurement, and mapping out potential risks. All of these elements then culminate in Step 3. Creating the project execution plan. This document is the ultimate roadmap for successful implementation. It is the playbook that absolutely everyone is going to follow. Moving right along to Section 2, Mastering Time and Money, Scheduling and Cost Control. Once you've got your roadmap, you have to navigate the 2 biggest constraints in any project. Because in construction, time is quite literally money. Scheduling is arguably the most critical aspect of the whole job, so how you sequence the work is everything. Enter the Critical Path Method, or CPM. It's a scheduling tool used to pinpoint the specific sequence of activities that directly affect your completion date. Think of it like a chain. If one specific link in this critical chain is delayed by a single day, the entire opening of the building gets delayed by a day. Establishing this approved baseline schedule early on is absolutely vital because it becomes your single reference point for measuring all future progress and spotting any delays down the line. But as we know, the real world is messy, and sometimes you just don't know exactly how long a task is going to take. While the critical path method is perfect when we have ironclad timeframes, project managers use PERT, the program evaluation and review technique, when specific activity durations are a bit uncertain. By balancing these 2 approaches, managers can flexibly handle scheduling no matter what unknowns they get thrown at them. Now, financial tracking is just as vital. It's one thing to have a schedule, it's another entirely to pay for it. Earned Value Management, or EVM, acts as a project's financial GPS by looking at 3 core metrics. Planned value is your ideal budget and schedule. It's what you hoped would happen. Actual cost is the stark reality of the money that has actually left your bank account. But the real magic is in the middle, earned value. This is the actual physical work progress you've achieved. By comparing your ideal planned value against the earned value and the actual cost, a project manager can instantly tell if they're bleeding money, falling behind, or cruising right on track. Which brings us to Section 3, Ensuring Quality and Safety, the non-negotiables. Because let's face it, hitting a budget and a deadline means absolutely nothing if the final building is fundamentally flawed, or worse, if a worker gets injured on the site. Now, people often use the terms quality assurance and quality control interchangeably, but they're actually very different. QA is all about the process. It's proactive. It prevents defects from happening in the first place by setting up effective systems, method statements, and strict procedures. QC, on the other hand, is reactive. It's the systematic inspections, the testing of concrete strength, and the physical checks designed to catch any defects that slipped through. One is the system to prevent errors, the other is the inspection to catch them. You absolutely have to have both to meet client expectations. And going hand in hand with quality is safety. A proactive health, safety, and environment system, or HSE, isn't just a box to check. It is a fundamental responsibility. It is so much more than just tossing someone a hard hat. A strong safety culture includes rigorous safety inductions before anyone even steps on site, daily toolbox talks to discuss hazards, strict PPE compliance, complex permit-to-work systems for dangerous tasks, and routine safety audits. These are the vital components that protect the workers, secure the physical assets, and ensure full legal compliance. Okay, so we've laid the perfect foundation. We have a pristine schedule, a solid budget, airtight quality control, and a flawless safety record on paper. But what happens when the plan falls apart? Because if there is one absolute guarantee in construction, it's that you will face unforeseen challenges. Section 4, Managing Chaos and Changes, when theory meets reality. This right here is the pivot point where true project management is actually tested. It is one thing to draw a roadmap. It's another entirely to navigate when the bridge is completely washed out. When a massive delay hits or a client completely changes the scope of the project midway through, chaos threatens to take over. To get a delayed or altered project back on track in a controlled way, project managers rely on a highly structured change management process. First, you have to identify the actual root cause of the delay. No guessing allowed. Next, evaluate exactly how this is going to impact both the time and the cost. Then you prepare recovery plans, which might mean reallocating resources or figuring out how to improve productivity on other tasks. And crucially, throughout this entire process, you have to maintain continuous, transparent communication with all your stakeholders so there are zero surprises. Now, the glue holding all of this chaos management together is paperwork. I know, it doesn't sound glamorous, but project documentation is the bedrock for accountability, legal compliance, and effective project control. When delays happen, arguments happen, accurate records, including detailed monthly progress reports with those planned versus actual comparisons we talked about, along with supporting photographs and charts, are what preserve the objective history of the project. Good documentation ensures you can prove exactly what happened, and it allows for a clean, successful handover of the finished building. Finally, we reach Section 5, Leadership in the Digital Age, the Human and Tech Factors. We've talked a lot about the systems, the schedules, and the processes. Now we need to look at the tools and the people that actually tie the whole thing together. Today's construction managers aren't just reading paper blueprints on the hood of a truck. They're utilizing a massive modern tech stack to coordinate vast amounts of data efficiently. Scheduling is handled by heavy-duty software like Primavera P6 and Microsoft Project. Costs are rigorously tracked in Excel. Design coordination has been totally revolutionized by Building Information Modeling, or BIM, which essentially builds the project digitally before a single brick is even laid. And enterprise document management systems provide the information control needed to keep everyone on the exact same page. But here's the catch. Technology is utterly useless without the right human driving it. Beyond the digital tools, strong leadership is the defining characteristic of an effective project manager. They have to build highly collaborative teams out of totally disparate groups of contractors. They must resolve conflicts constructively when tensions inevitably run high. They need the emotional intelligence to actually coach underperforming team members rather than just immediately firing them. Ultimately, they have to inspire true teamwork while simultaneously enforcing strict technical, financial, and contractual accountability. A successful project manager isn't just doing one of these things well. They are integrating all these distinct disciplines into one unified, continuous process. It's a massive balancing act of planning and scheduling, cost control, quality and safety, and leadership. If any one of these quadrants fails, the entire project is at risk. But when they are mastered and perfectly balanced, a PM can deliver a project on time, within budget, and to the absolute highest standards. Our source material provides a takeaway that perfectly cements the true definition of the job. It says, construction project management is much more than supervising site activities. It is a systematic process of transforming project objectives into successful outcomes. Think about that. It's basically the alchemy of turning an idea, a budget, and a piece of land into a tangible, lasting reality through continuous execution. So I want to leave you with this final thought. The next time you walk past a massive construction site, are you just going to see the heavy machinery and the steel beams? Or will you now see the invisible blueprint of management, the critical paths, the earned value equations, the safety protocols, and the human leadership holding it all together? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep observing, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.